And then when it is currently the 10th of May 2015, what you're looking at here is some pretty impressive imagery coming from the Himawari 8 satellite. This is set on a 2-minute interval between pictures taken, and you can just see the intensity of this storm system, but all even the small features, these thunderstorms which were flaring up off there towards the northeast, and of course our very defined eye wall, and that eye wall circulating around that center of circulation. At least at this time, though, our storm system is now tracking off here towards the north. So let's get into our update here, because I do want to talk about this storm system now, where we have it basically approaching the coastline of Cagayan there around Santa Ana. We have been seeing reports of flying debris. Also have been seeing reports of some flooding out here, and I'll get to those images in just a second. But what you can see on our visible satellite imagery from the MTSat, not as high resolution as the one I just showed you a second ago, is our storm just skimming the coastline. Basically, it veered just off here towards the north before coming on shore there in Luzon. So it really is pending your definition of a landfalling storm system. According to JMA, it's the dead center of circulation. But as far as I'm concerned, if you are out here where these winds are gusting upwards of 150 knots is the eye wall, and that is currently coming on shore there in northeastern portions of Luzon. Pressure down to 950 HPA in the center of the storm system. And the other big thing I do want to mention, I've gotten this question a few times, how does this compare up with Typhoon Haiyan? Well, the big thing was that had a minimum pressure of 895 HPA. This one pressure is around 915, so it is still weaker than Haiyan when that came on shore, but nonetheless, it is a super typhoon according to the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Pagasa does not have it quite up to that intensity. Japan Meteorological Agency as well, a violent typhoon. Here's another image. This is from the Himawari 8 satellite. You can just see that rain band, or basically the eye wall coming on shore there in northeastern Luzon. You just have that buzzsaw shape around the center of circulation, and it's this area right in here in that eye wall where we're going to be seeing that significant damage potentially coming out from this storm. One of the questions people have been asking me, why are we seeing this rapid intensification earlier on today? And basically the storm holding its strength. Sea surface temperatures out here are very warm. We're actually looking somewhere around 30 to 32 degrees Celsius, especially closer to the coast you get. So that allows for this storm to pick up more moisture and then drop it. So one of the other big problems that we're going to be seeing outside of high winds here at northern Luzon is the rainfall. Look at this. This is actually in these areas in the darker reds. That's indicating around 50 millimeters per hour occurring. That could result in some significant flooding, and that's actually why, at least at this time, we have seen some reports of evacuations being issued basically down there towards Pelanon, a little bit farther towards the south where this storm system is now. Extending off towards the north, mandatory evacuations have also been issued in a lot of these coastal communities. So yeah, people are taking the proper precautions, not only due to the threat of high winds and storm surge, but also the rainfall. You have to remember, a lot of mountains right in this area. This is the Sierra Madre Mountains extending from basically off towards Santa Ana down here through Iligan City around Aurora and Isabela. And these are very high mountains, very steep. So you get these storm systems coming through and it just runs into these mountains. It squeezes that moisture out like a sponge. Just imagine you holding a sponge over the sink and just squeezing it that's full of water. All that drops just like that out here. So you see some significant flooding that could potentially occur with this. Now, right under where that storm system is now, there's some people, I've been checking on Twitter, people sharing photos out there. We have been seeing some reports of debris. I haven't seen any reports of significant damage at this time, but think of it this way though, we are looking at sunset now. If there was reports of significant damage, likely those people do not have the communication abilities to let us know. That is why we typically say when we get a typhoon, you're probably not going to know the full extent of the story until about 24 to 48 hours after, especially in some of these rural areas, because if you get damage, likely the communication is knocked out there as well. So this is what the images we're seeing right now, but don't take that as this area fared rather well. I hope that is the case, but it could not be the case too. So it's something we're going to continue to keep you updated on as this storm system does push off here towards north. Then eventually pushing just east of Taiwan. You need the rain. That's some good news. You've been on some significant drought there. As far as farmers are concerned in Luzon as well, you really need the rain too, for that matter. Then eventually this is going to move towards the northeast, passing by Okinawa on Tuesday morning to afternoon. I think it might be morning, but the big thing with this is that it really depends on where exactly it passes by. Right now, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center does expect typhoon strength winds for those of you in the southern Japanese islands. Good news, southern Japanese islands, you are built for typhoons. If you get typhoon strength winds, it's not going to cause a lot of damage unless you are not smart about it. Be smart about it. Make sure that you do the proper preparations. You pick up your yard, lawn furniture laying around. You don't need to board up your windows or anything like that, especially in Okinawa. Strict building codes. But this is going to be enough to toss around some light debris, and you definitely want to stay away from the coastal areas. This is going to be bringing in some very dangerous surf with us and riptides as well. So as it does push by, the highest winds will only be for a short period of time. If the storm does track a little bit farther here towards the east, I've been mentioning that where the JTWC, where they currently have their track at right now, actually, these winds could be a little bit farther here towards the southeast. So as far as Okinawa is concerned, you might not see those typhoon strength winds. Maybe gust, but sustained winds, maybe not. Now that depends if that does go over in this direction, that center, because if it comes off here towards the north, then you're going to be seeing those winds. Big thing with this, though, is that it is going to be wrapping up with our cold front passing into the north. So that is going to be allowing our storm system to really add fuel to that and bring widespread rainfall out here, not only for southern Japan, but also across much of mainland Japan. And of course, this is a 72-hour rainfall outlook, so you, of course, are going to be looking at some more showers until it starts to taper off there in Luzon. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the storm going extratropical in the coming days, but for now, of course, we are still watching its impact out here in Luzon. Definitely the recovery for a lot of these people being impacted. If you want to, follow us on our Facebook and Twitter at westernpacificweather.com. And follow us on Western Pacific Weather. Also follow good friend James Reynolds at Earth Uncut TV. Write that down. Check him out on Twitter because he has been streaming a lot of information. He has a satellite phone with him. So even if the infrastructure does not support communication, he might be one of the first people to get word out about how the storm fared here. Now, I'm making this update here on Sunday evening, so by the time you're watching it, might already have more information. But if you're watching it here, do follow him and check in to see what he has being posted here in the overnight hours. All right, guys, stay safe out there, and as always, thanks for watching.